Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today, and I would like to start by thanking our hosts, great team, for organizing this event. Me and my colleagues have been dealing with the topic of video uploads and the use of appropriate codecs for some time now. A preliminary research has given us some interesting results, which I would like to share with you today. Communication techniques between people have changed considerably in the recent past. Former linear communication has been replaced by visual depictions, which contain not only static or moving images, but often also text, sound, and other visible or invisible data. So-called multimedia communication has been a part of our everyday life. The integration of many forms of content rendering within the individual data file formats significantly affects their properties in terms of their size, color gamut, complexity of saved data, and so on. All this requires sophisticated development of different codecs and file types that enable everything mentioned. In order to share or post videos that can be later viewed on different devices, regardless of their dimensions, the videos must be recorded in different formats supported by a specific technology. In an effort to make video content as realistic as possible, it's essential to use different compressions and interpolation methods in the formatting process in the form of different codecs embedded in different video containers, which do not allow any noticeable loss of data. Optimal results controlled by using codecs stored in more complex video containers that properly compress the video content and its components, either in the form of audio or metadata in each file. Choosing the right codec depends on several variabilities: digital storage space, frame and bitrate, encoding mode, selected resolution, color gamut, and so on. Today, different codecs are being used, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. International Organization for Standardization, International Electrotechnical Commission, and Telecommunication Standardization Sector are just some of the standardization groups that define the properties of codecs and control their use. Codecs are constantly being developed, improved, and refined. Some of the most displayable are MPEG-1, MPEG-2, H.263, and H.264, also known as AVC. These standards have most of the basic functions in common, but differ in detail. Advances in video coding have recently resulted in a rather new high-efficiency video coding known as H.265 or HEVC. However, beside all mentioned, the type of transmission, either via an external hard drive, email, or uploading to various websites and platforms, also affects the choice of a suitable codec for storing the videos. With all mentioned in mind, we wanted to investigate how the properties of video files change when we upload them to different platforms. For this purpose, we decided to create a video. Well, we actually recorded several of them that we wanted to study by uploading them to three most popular platforms: Instagram, YouTube, and Gmail, using codecs such as MPEG-2, H.264, and H.265 in high and medium bitrate. We used a Sony Alpha A5000 camera with 20 megapixel CMOS image sensor to record the videos. We have recorded the videos at maximum camera resolution in a 16:9 aspect ratio at 25 frames per second in a progressive scan mode at an average bitrate of 17 megabytes per second and maximum color gamut. We decided to shoot the video with blooming colorful flowers, which allowed us to capture a wide range of color shades. We recorded it during the day, where there is enough natural light. Several different videos were recorded, both from a distance and close-up, with the flowers either standing still or moving in the wind. The recorded videos also differed in length, from a few seconds to a minute. All these differences were selected so that we could choose the most suitable video for comparison and analysis. For the research, we chose the video with the highest color gamut, mainly because of its numerous shades of green. Properties of the video are listed here on the slide. 3 codecs with variable bitrate encoding method, being either high or medium, were used with different presets that allowed different settings of the stored video properties in terms of bitrate. Due to some of the selected platform limitations, not all variants, as you can see here, of the encoded videos could be uploaded. The comparison of the videos was based on the resulting changes in video conversion from the original video to re-encoded ones. These changes were reflected in changes of video file size, bitrate and color changes, as well as the occurrence of unwanted artifacts due to the compression and interpolation. Since color changes in the videos could not be accurately observed due to the movement of a focus object, meaning flowers, the changes were observed in a defined video image frame at high magnification, marked here with a red square on the middle image. The color differences were determined by comparing the histograms of these enlarged image frames. So let's take a look what we have found out. As expected, the use of different codecs has significantly affected the properties of video files. So let's see step by step. We have found that the high bitrate encoding methods, the file size of the codecs H.265 and H.264, increased by almost 11% for the firstly mentioned codec and by 6.5% for the second one. On the other hand, the file size of the MPEG2 codec slightly decreased by approximately 4%. An opposite effect was observed for high bit rate data, where all 3 encoded methods, the bitrate increased. For the MPEG2, the increase was significant, almost 12%. For H.265 a bit lower, somewhere around 8%, and for the H.264 the changes were smaller than 2%. The use of medium bitrate encoding led to concrete changes. Both file size and bitrate decreased significantly by about 70%, while the use of medium MPEG2 codec resulted in a slightly smaller change, just somewhere about 60%. Obtained results were rather illogical. We expected that the video encoded using H.265 as one of the most efficient methods nowadays would produce the smaller files, followed by the H.264 and MPEG at high and medium bitrate. Considering the fact that all the conversions made in the Adobe Media Encoder were done with the default settings, we are not quite sure which compression mechanism and interpolation algorithms were used. Therefore, we assumed that this could be the reason for the results. In order to define concrete answers, it would be necessary to further analyze and determine the reasons for this situation. And another interesting fact worth mentioning: the encoding, regardless of bitrate, increased the length of the videos by 1 second, adding a black frame at the end of the videos. Unfortunately, the reason for this was also not found. The results of the encoded videos differed from the original video in color range and image quality. These changes were noticeable in the histograms, where we can see the overall change in light and dark tones, as well as in some cases also in the middle ones. The changes differed regarding the used codec. The bitrate differences were obtained for green and red tones. Visual changes were not only noticeable in the changes of color, but also in the appearance of unwanted artifacts, mainly in the form of jagged details, in the enlarged video images, blur and reduced saturation. As expected, these changes were more pronounced in highly compressed videos with smaller file size. Good results were achieved with the H.265 codec, which had bright and saturated colors, smooth gradients, and few unwanted artifacts. The jagged edges were less intense than in the original video, especially in the greens. Good quality was also achieved with high bitrate H.264 encoding, although histograms show similar color changes as in H.265 encoded video. The worst results were obtained with the medium and high bitrate MPEG2 codecs, where the color changes were the greatest. The number of color shades, especially in the green, was greatly reduced, and the interpolation algorithms caused numerous artifacts, resulting in aliasing and high blur. These artifacts were also visible in the video and not only in the selected video frame. As mentioned earlier, each platform uses its own algorithms and settings that determine the properties of uploaded file. Instagram, for instance, uses predefined encoding methods. It only supports H.264 and H.265 codecs and changes them to MP4. Therefore, uploading MPEG2 encoded videos is not possible. Instagram encoding mechanisms reduce the resolution and keep the bitrate unchanged. The changes in video sizes were high, most noticeable for the most efficient H.265 codecs, which increased for 91% and slightly lower for H.264 with the highest and medium bitrate, somewhere between 89 and 68%, while the resolution decreased by 62%. The visual changes observed on a smartphone were smaller but noticeable. As expected, the video encoded with H.264 and medium bitrate had the most flaws. The edges were jagged due to the lower bitrate, and the color transitions were not as smooth. The other two videos, high bitrate H.264 and H.265, looked quite okay, with smooth color transitions, no aliasing and jagged edges. The colors were a bit more saturated in the H.264 encoded video. Let's see further what happened when we uploaded the videos to the YouTube channel. They were encoded using the H.264 codec, which has been changed to the MP4 container. This platform is one of the few that allows arbitrary selection of viewing resolution, even in full resolution. Despite the above, the resolution in encoded and uploaded videos decreased a bit over 30%, although not as much as for Instagram. The file size was reduced to about 4,000 kilobytes at an average bitrate of 128 kilobytes per second. When we upload the video to YouTube, the compression mechanisms change it regardless of the format and resolution used. It's therefore recommended that we are aware of these changes and keep them to a minimum. When uploading to YouTube, we must also consider the bandwidth of the internet. If it's too weak, the quality of the video will be in lower resolution. As already mentioned, there are two ways to send videos via Gmail. The first way is to share videos as an attachment, with the video's file size limited to 25 megabytes, and the second way is to upload the video file to Google Drive first. Sending video in Gmail requires higher compression, which leads to high data loss and degradation of video quality. We have found that in the case of our encoded videos, only two are suitable: H.264 and MPEG2 at medium bitrate, with encoding resulting in file size of less than 25 megabytes. H.264 provides better visual results, while the video MPEG2 codec causes jagged edges, blur, and uneven and unnatural color gradients. Due to poor quality, this method is therefore only suitable for sending video previews. So, to conclude, regarding all mentioned, when uploading videos to Instagram, it's advisable to match the properties of videos to be uploaded as closely as possible to the properties of the Instagram platform, and also to invert the aspect ratio. The study has shown that when uploading to YouTube, we should use an H.264 codec in a high bitrate MP4 container, with the resulting remaining the same as in the original video, or in our case 1920 by 1080 pixels. If we want to share videos via Gmail in high quality, it's necessary to upload the video files to Google Drive, where the content will remain unchanged. Theoretically, using Google Drive defines limitations. However, if we want to send videos via Gmail, where the quality is not important, we can use lower bitrate codecs, which reduce the file size, thus providing sizes under 25 megabytes. In this research, the Adobe Media Encoder with default encoding settings was used. Since we got some unexpected results, we are planning a more detailed analysis to define the reason for obtained results. We plan to use open source programs which allow manual settings of certain parameters and their control, and hopefully we will in the near future be able to answer the questions while the file sizes are so large when using the H.265 codec. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Bye.